Hello, my friends, and happy Thursday. So this is take 2. We actually started the video and it was all going so well until it wasn't. So this is the redo, and I know a bunch of you joined me already and we all said hi, and it was so great for about 4 minutes, and then we lost our connection to the internet. Well, actually to Facebook. And so, are you guys there? Please let me know. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Every once in a blue moon, this happens and we just have to restart.
Lonnie says fingers crossed.
Yay, Lonnie! Thank you for joining us. Can you see me? Can you hear me? Because first, what happened, I believe, is we lost sound. So I'm just concerned, can everybody hear me okay? So please let me know in the comments, and I'm so glad we were able to restart, because for a moment there, it was kind of touch and go. Anyway, I have some super fun ornaments to show you. I have some snowman, I have some icicles, and let's get started.
Alan says, I can see and hear you, and sends hearts. Lonnie says, so far so good. Julie says, I hear you. Cheryl says, hi again, LOL.
Hi. Well, thank you for sticking around, you guys. And, you know, I love that you did not give up on me. That makes me very happy. Thank you so much. And, you know, keep me in the loop if something weird happens. In the meantime, I'm just going to show you everything again, because we had to delete our first try, which was about 4 minutes. And I guess it's a good thing, because I don't even know exactly what you saw or heard. So anyway, I have all these snowman. I have a sparkly mixed metal snowman. I have a Caribbean snowman. I have a facets of, facets of sparkle snowman, perhaps? I know I called it facets of something snowman. Then
Facets of winter.
Yes, of course, that would make sense. Facets of winter. And I have 2 different versions. And then I have a Snowball icicle.
That's Victorian Snowball, I think.
That is right. I was just seeing if Tony is paying attention. So we have the Victorian icicle, rather.
I have a cheat sheet.
Fantastic. Then we have Under the Sea icicle. And, okay, since you have the cheat sheet, you tell us, what do we have here?
That is Provence.
Very good.
Icicle.
Yes, that is Provence icicle, and that, of course, is the reference to the lavender. And, of course, everybody decorates differently for the holidays. Some people have a purple lavender tree. Some people have a multicolor. Whatever you have, I probably have something for you. And what kind of an icicle is?
That is Evergreen Sparkle.
Awesome. Evergreen Sparkle. But wait, there is more.
Northern Lights.
Northern Lights, just like Aurora Borealis. Okay, guys, so I have lots of different styles of icicles and snowman, and these are going to be in the featured on Facebook section. In the meantime, I should tell you again that I have an awesome sale in the Etsy shop, in the Eclectica Etsy shop. And that is going through the 29th of November. And then, of course, I also have, actually, no, I don't yet have a sale, but I will be starting a sale in my Etsy shop where I have my one-of-a-kind fine silver pieces, and I'm just going to say this is the biggest sale that I have ever had in my Etsy shop. So I really hope you stop and check it out. And what else can I tell you? I made all sorts of announcements, so I'm trying to remember what they all are. So the store hours are a little bit different for the holidays. On Wednesday, while we're normally on Wednesdays open till 8 o'clock, this Wednesday, because of Thanksgiving, we're going to close at 5 o'clock. So that everybody can go and start cooking that turkey or make the stuffing or whatever it is that you do. And so we don't have a late night this Wednesday. And then, of course, we're going to be closed on Thanksgiving Day so that we can all celebrate with our family and friends. And what else? We have big sale planned for Black Friday. In fact, not only in the brick and mortar store, but also online. And that's going to be on the actual Black Friday. But I'm sure I'll get back to that announcement in a little bit. So in the meantime,
Debbie says those are all beautiful.
Thank you so much, Debbie.
Lori says, good evening, Irina and Tony, and sends a snowman.
Hi, Lori. Thank you so much for the snowman. You know, I used to make them out of actual snow when I was a little girl, and now I make them out of beads. And I have to say, it's more fun. At this point, it's way more fun. I don't have to go outside and get cold. And then we can use them around the house to decorate. They make wonderful gifts if you're going to a party or if you are doing some kind of a fancy wrapping on your gift. You can just put that right on the gift. I like to hang them off one of the handles of like a gift bag. So I'm sure you will find your own uses. Of course, it's pretty obvious that we can just put them right on our holiday tree as well. Okay, guys, so while I have a good number of snowmen, most of them are just going to be a little bit of a show and tell. But this one I picked to actually demo on because this one is the least intuitive of all of my snowmen. And I will tell you why. So the corrugated bead, I love this corrugated bead. It adds so much style and drama to our sparkly snowman. However, it has this very large opening, so you can see how large the opening is. And if we were to simply string it, it would be a little rattly. So we can't really help, it might be a tiny bit rattly anyway, but if we just string this right onto our memory wire, it'll be really rattly. So there's just a little secret to this one. So, and that has to do with these little beads, these 5 beads that you see right in front of me, and I'm about to demonstrate it.
Clarice says the gift for Christmas.
Yay! Thank you so much, Clarice. Absolutely. This makes a wonderful like stocking stuffer or a gift, you know, it depends, I guess, you know, it may be a coworker, something little. Again, I always like to, if I go to a holiday party, I like to bring a hostess gift. So this would be a really fun little hostess gift. And so one thing I wanted to mention is this is very, very heavy memory wire. And whether it's heavy memory wire or regular memory wire, please remember to never ever use your regular cutter to cut this. We cut it with this special memory wire cutter, and you may or may not have it. And it doesn't matter, frankly, because we actually cut it to the size you're going to need for this project. So the plan is not to cut this wire at all. And if for some reason you want to do some type of a redesign and you feel like you must cut it, be sure to use your memory wire cutters. Okay, so in the meantime, ladies, I'm going to make a 90-degree angle or something close to a 90-degree angle in my memory wire, just with my flat nose pliers. And I make this first loop a little smaller, so this is just making a standard loop, not obviously a wrap loop. Frankly, you will simply not be able to wrap this. This is very, very heavy and it would be impossible to wrap. So it's also a little hard to close the loop. So my trick, not that it's much of a trick, but my technique for closing the loop is I simply use the crimping pliers. Okay, so my crimper that I actually use for crimping can also be used for this. And the opening that I use is the oval one, not the kidney bean one. The one that's closest to the end of the nose.
Kim K says, I'm late, but here. Happy Thanksgiving week. Well, you're not actually that late.
You're
We had
not
to
that
restart.
late. Yes, we had to restart, Kim. Facebook was being temperamental and we had to restart. So, you know, this is take two. It seems to be working. Knock on wood. So I'm glad you're joining us. Yay. And happy Thanksgiving, everyone. All right, you guys. So now I'm going to start stringing my beads. And this is our sample. So we're stringing in the very same order that you see these. So first, we're going to put this very, very large bead cap onto our memory wire. And then we have our corrugated bead. So yes, you probably could skip the inside beads and just go ahead and put your second bead cap on, but it's a little rattly this way. You can see that. So to stabilize the corrugated bead, what I'm going to do is use these 6mm faceted beads. They actually don't have to be faceted. They can be anything we want. It's really more about the size rather than what the bead looks like. And so I will tell you, some of the beads are a little larger than other beads. So you can see this one is just a little bit larger than this one. The way they're made is kind of semi-handmade. So in this larger bead, I actually have 5 beads inside. And in this slightly smaller bead, I can only fit 4, which is fine. So either way, you're getting 5 beads in your kit and you may or may not use all of them. So I'm going to just set my 5th bead aside. I'm not going to need it for this one. And my second bead cap is going to go on. And now I'm going to string my little sparkly bead. Well, actually not so little, but so very sparkly. And then I have his little scarf, which is a rondelle. So this is a rondelle with some fun little crystals in it. And then I have another sparkly bead yet. And this one is brass. And now we string his hat. So his hat is actually a 2-parter. So it consists of this ring And then, do you guys remember the hill beads? So this is actually a hill bead. So whatever you have left right here, that is going to become our top loop. So we're going to start making the 90-degree angle, and we'll make it close to our top bead, which is the hill bead, but not right next to it. Just, you know, we're being a little careful because we don't want to break that bead on top. And again, whatever you have left in terms of the length of the wire, we're just going to use the entire thing to make the loop. So since I have quite a bit of wire left, I'm not starting at the very, very end. And remember, this is not piece of jewelry. It is an ornament. So it's really quite acceptable to have a larger loop. And, you know, some people might make a larger loop at the bottom, so you're not going to have quite this much wire left. But whatever you have left, I suggest you just use that. And guess what? Was that easy? Was that like super, super, almost too easy? We're done. So as I mentioned, this is the least intuitive of all the snowmen. And so now let's do a little show and tell. So the other snowmen are pretty much very similar construction. In fact, this one has the very same bead caps. However, because this bottom bead is not hollow, we don't need those extra beads. So that is pretty clear. And then we have the same parts. We have a kind of a medium-sized bead. We have a rondelle, a sparkly rondelle. We have the head. And then again, we have the two-part hat. And all of my snowman this time do have a two-part hat. So let me show you. I'm just going to point out one of the differences. So the only thing that's going to be different here, so this guy and this one, they're very closely related. So it's exactly the same. So the raffia one is going to be just a tiny bit different. This is how it's different. There's a little extra spacer. This is one of those snowflake spacers. And all it's doing is stabilizing between this bead and this cap, right? So I felt like it's not quite so stable without the snowflake spacer. The other thing is when you go through the raffia bead with your memory wire, you have to be just a little bit persistent. So the hole on the raffia bead rather, is going to be quite snug, but that's okay. You know, just kind of push it through and it will fit. I promise you. Everything else is really the same. So it's really all about the aesthetic of it all. So whatever, you know, you like visually. Okay, so now we're going to deconstruct the, not literally deconstruct, but just talk about the various icicles. And
can we see the snowman a little more vertical, please?
Absolutely. Let's look at them all one more time vertically. How is this?
Kim K says they're all so cute and unique.
Oh, thank you so much, Kim. So, you know, I'm for the holiday season, I like to focus, you know, I kind of pick themes and I do a bunch of snowman and icicles. And then maybe, well, actually, no, next week I'm doing the spiders. You know how I do Christmas spiders every year. I tell the story and I have a new design. So I will be doing that this year. And the week after, as far as I remember, I'm planning to do angels. So the angels are going to be very fun and very new this year. So this Caribbean snowman is really fun. And so let's see. So let's look at the icicles.
I love the snow. Lori says, I love the snowman with the silver hat.
Oh, thank you so much, Lori. It is this one. This is Facets of Winter. And did we...
Shades of Glacier.
Shades of Glacier is the color.
Yes.
Yep. Okay, guys, so let's look at the icicles. The icicles are really quite intuitive. So you will have a picture for each one of these. It's so very, very easy to follow the pattern in the picture. I feel like the least intuitive one is Under the Sea. So what I would love to do before we go on to the next thing is I would love to show you the order of beads. So this is what Under the Sea actually looks like. It's very similar to the Caribbean icicle that I made maybe last year. And we actually still, you know, we made a new batch of Caribbean icicles. It's actually one of the most popular ones, and especially through the store. And so I made one that's kind of a cousin to the Caribbean icicle. And this one is called Under the Sea. I made it a bit more colorful and a bit more sparkly. And I hope you guys like it. So this is the one I was hoping to show slightly deconstructed, because these little spacers are so teeny tiny that I don't know if the picture really shows what it is that is separating the larger flat rondelles. So these flat rondelles are ceramic, and you know, when I first stacked them, when I was originally designing this, it didn't look right. So I felt like it needed to be separated, and I used these little tiny spacers. So the whole point of showing it to you a little bit not finished is so that you can see that where you see the separation, those are the little tiny spacers.
Kathy K says, yes, I can see the spacers.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kathy.
Lori says, oh, wow, Under the Sea is stunning.
Thank you so much, Lori. You know, I love the ocean, and you know, I love to do things that are inspired by the ocean. Okay, so because this this project is so incredibly quick and so easy, I thought, let me throw in something that I occasionally throw in during the holiday season, and that is how to make the ornament hooks. Because especially when you're giving this as a gift, it's so fun to include a hook, and especially depending on how the person is going to be using this, if they're actually going to put this on their tree, it's just so nice to give it to them with the hook. And so I grabbed a piece of wire, and I'm about to do a quick little demo on just how to do that. And I think before we finish for tonight, I would love to go over the names of the icicles, so it'll be very easy for you to find them in our Etsy shop. So what I'm using for this is just a wooden dowel that I happen to have. This is part of my set that I use for metalworking. You don't have to have a wooden dowel. Whatever you have that is round and maybe between 1 and 2 inches in diameter. It could be, I don't know, what could it be? You know, sometimes I literally use my tea container for this. You know, one of those thermoses that you take to work with you. It could be literally anything that's round, whatever you have around the house. Just use that as a mandrel. And so this one is a bit on the smaller side, so obviously it's going to be a slightly smaller hook. That's okay.
Lori says, me too. I love the ocean.
Oh, yay.
And Lonnie is wondering if it's 20 gauge wire.
Thank you for asking, Lori. Lonnie, no, I'm sorry, yes. Lonnie, thank you for asking. It is actually 18 gauge wire. And it is very, very important that you get half hard wire. We have it in our Etsy shop. In fact, we have both half hard and dead soft. For this project, you really, really want half hard. You see how this makes a little spring? So that's because you really want this to be able to hold its shape. So it's not necessarily labeled as half hard. However, it is labeled as Beadsmith. That is the brand of the wire, and this is the brand that I really, really like for this purpose. So I am recommending this very strongly. And so again, it's in our Etsy shop, and I think maybe this is something I threw in last minute, so maybe it's not in the featured section, but we'll be sure to put it in the featured section.
It'll be, yeah, by the end of the video.
Yeah, so by the end of the video, we will move it into the featured section so that it's very, very easy for you to find it. Okay, ladies, so you saw what I did. I just wound the wire around my round object, whatever it may be. And so now I am simply, and I can actually get a couple of hooks out of this piece of wire. So I think I'm going to skip about half an inch or so and just start bending my wire, roughly half an inch to 3/4 of an inch from the end. And I can do this as many times as I want or not at all. And maybe I will stop right here. So again, it is 18 gauge wire, Beadsmith brand. Make sure it's that brand and not the other brand we carry, even though the other brand is also very, very nice, but not for this. Okay, so we're almost done. This is very quick. So now I'm just going to use my round nose pliers and make a loop at the end. And now all I have to do is decide just exactly where to cut it. So this obviously is not memory wire, so it's okay for me to use my regular cutter. And maybe I can just use my fingers and unbend this a little bit. Maybe I unbend it a little too much, so let's straighten it. Okay, so this is perfect. All right, guys, so now we're just going to open up the hook a little bit, and for the purposes of giving it to somebody, I would leave it slightly open so that maybe they can interchange these pieces, or if you're just giving them one piece, maybe you want to close it. So was that super easy? I think it's so incredibly easy. You guys tell me. And so what do you think? Would you put this on your tree? Would you hang it from a fan? What would you do with these snowmen? You know what? Maybe I'll just close the loop just because I am committing to this. So if you think you want to commit to it, you can always close the loop. Okay, so moving right along, let's make one more since, we have the time since we finished so quickly with the actual project. So my next one I'm going to make is going to be a little spiral. And, it's kind of fun to vary them, especially if, let's say, you're giving somebody multiple pieces, multiple ornaments. It's just nice to vary them for that handmade look. And, because there's really nothing more thoughtful than a handmade gift. So I started making the loop. However, whenever you are making a spiral out of wire, it's always a good thing to cut off the very end of the loop. And I'm holding it in my hand so that I don't launch it at Tony. And so the reason we always cut off the very end of the loop is so that we get rid of the straight part, because wherever it is that we're holding on to it, it is going to remain straight. And since we're making this as a hook for an ornament, we are going to make sure to keep it a little bit open. So let's open it up. And as we create the spiral, I like to, especially with the larger gauges of wire, I like to just kind of rock it back and forth so that it's very easy to control that open spiral. So that is my little trick for making spirals. And I don't know, maybe just a little more. Okay, so there we go. That is really all there is to it. And I'm going to again cut it wherever I feel it needs to be cut. And there's our hook. We can reshape it a little bit or not reshape it, whatever seems right to you. So this is essentially just like making a really large ear wire. So just by watching this, you have just learned how to make an ear wire, except it would be slightly differently proportioned. Okay, guys, so let's put an icicle on it. So just let it slide down, and that's it. Done. How easy was that?
That looks like the under the sea icicle.
It is under the sea icicle. You know, I know you're not supposed to pick favorites among your children, but right now this is kind of my favorite just because I think it's so different, and again, because I love the ocean so much. Okay, guys, so that is really all there is.
Lori is wondering, does the tool mark the wire when wiggling the flat nose?
No, can we do a little, what do you call it? Like a
Close-up.
Close-up. Thank you, Tony. So no, I don't see any marks at all. Now, having said that, Lori, so I have been doing this for a long time, and I don't really squeeze the wire a whole lot as I do this. I actually have a very light touch as I work with my wire. So I find that when people first start doing this, and I'm not suggesting that you are a beginner or not a beginner, but what beginners tend to do is hold on for dear life. And what I tell beginners is, well, first of all, just kind of relax your hand a little bit so that you're not putting a ton of pressure on the wire, and then you're not going to be leaving marks. But if you know that you tend to leave marks, there's a wonderful product that we carry in the store. I don't think we have it listed online. We can always send it to you with your order. Anything that you don't see in the Etsy shop can always be added, so it's doable. And Tony, what is that product called? The rubber that we coat. You guys know.
Tool Magic.
Tool Magic, thank you. Why do I always forget Tool Magic?
Lori says, okay, thank you, I understand, and I appreciate you explaining.
Oh, thank you so much, Lori. Yeah, so if anybody needs Tool Magic, it's a great product. All you do is you take your flat nose and your chain nose, you dip it in the Tool Magic, you let it dry for 2 hours, and then your tool is coated with a very thin coat of rubber. That should last you a couple of weeks.
Debbie says, happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Thank you so much, Debbie, and happy Thanksgiving to you. Okay, guys, so, well, this is it. This is the entire project. So why don't we go over some of the, well, actually all of the names, just so that you know you are ordering the one you intend to order. And again, we have these all in the Etsy shop in the featured on Facebook section. And so starting with Under the Sea. So this is Under the Sea Icicle. And then we have Facets of Winter. And I believe I call the color...
Crystal AB.
Thank you, Crystal AB, which is very intuitive since it is Crystal AB.
Lori says, and half hard wire, correct? I'll look for it. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Thank you so much, Lori, and happy Thanksgiving to you, my dear.
And it's half hard wire, correct?
It is half, yes, it is half hard wire. And again, when you buy wire that is base metal, and obviously you would not use sterling wire for this. When you buy wire that's base metal, it's not necessarily going to be labeled half hard. It's about knowing the brands, and the brand that I recommend, and we do have this brand in the Etsy shop, is Beadsmith brand. It's very good for this type of use. Okay, guys, so these two are very similar. And again, we have Crystal AB and we have Shades of Glacier.
Lonnie says, thank you, Fun Ornaments. Love your creativity.
Thank you so much. But wait, you guys, there's more. Don't go away just yet because I still have to do the preview for next week. I have something, I think it's pretty exciting for next week. Okay, guys, so I have the
Sparkly Snowman in mixed metal.
Mixed metal sparkly snowman. There you go. Between the two of us, we remember. Okay, so there's that guy. This is the one, remember, that I demoed with the little beads on the inside. And then we have the Caribbean snowman with the raffia and the flower beads. And then we have Aurora Is this Aurora? No, this is not Aurora. Or is it Aurora?
Northern Lights.
Thank you, Northern Lights. And next,
that is Provence.
Provence, and that's the reference to the color. Next, we have Victorian Snowball Icicle. And
Evergreen Sparkle.
Yep, last but not least, Evergreen Sparkle. Okay, so that is all my fun little ornaments for today. And so here goes the preview. So obviously, we do not have a video this Thursday since it is Thanksgiving. So no video on Thanksgiving because we'll all be celebrating. And then on Friday, which is Black Friday, you guys, and for the first time ever, I am going to do a real Black Friday online. So it's going to be all sorts of deals and steals and gifts with purchase, and we're going to have a good time. There are definitely going to be some surprises there. And again, this is this Friday, November 24th at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time on the Eclectica page. And then my new little friends I have on my hand, these are my Christmas spiders, and I will be doing this demo Thursday, November 30th at 7 p.m. on my jewelry design page. So that's actually going to be next week, Thursday. So we'll be back to our normal night of the week. And this is kind of a tradition that I started, oh my gosh, years ago, where I tell the Christmas spider story. Not a super well-known one, I found out, because, you know, there's so many people who are surprised that it's actually a thing. And yes, it is definitely a thing in parts of Eastern Europe as well as Germany. And so I'll be telling, you know, the usual story, and we'll be making a new spider.
Kim K says, your tree must be beautiful with all of your sparkling ornaments. Thanks for sharing.
Oh, thank you so much, Kim. Yes, I do love my little ornaments, and I love to give them as gifts as well, which actually I do every year. And so here are my new little friends that are yet to be demoed.
It's a lot of holiday bling.
Yes, it's very blingy this year, right? Some years are a bit more blingy than others, you know. I just love how they turned out. They always surprise me a little. It's like, you know, I design them, but then they kind of take on a life of their own. Okay, guys, so I believe that's all of it. And let me just repeat the announcements. Slightly different hours this Wednesday. We're closing at 5 rather than 8 o'clock. And of course, we're closed on Thanksgiving Day, so we can all celebrate. And there's a sale in the Etsy shop, a really big sale. And also I'm starting a sale in my Etsy shop on Friday, Black Friday. That's this coming Friday. I know it's hard to believe that it's already that time of the year. So that is all of it, you guys. So thank you for sticking around through starting the video over. And have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Lori says, thank you very much for your lovely live. Enjoy your holiday.
Thank you so much, Lori, and you as well. And all of you guys, enjoy the holiday. Enjoy your family and friends. We have so much to be grateful for. And as always, find a few minutes for a little creativity and have fun.